Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days. In today's video, it's going to take us into the start of March. Now we've got really spring-like weather today as I speak. Temperatures are into the mid to upper teens Celsius for some parts of the country. We'll have a look at the latest temperatures in a moment. But as we get through into the start of March, we may be seeing signs that winter could be biting back, perhaps. So it could well be that winter isn't quite done with us just yet, and I'll show you all the detail of what's going on in the latest model output in a minute. By no means guaranteed that the start of March will see winter coming back, but there are a few hints, particularly between the GFS and the ECMWS. So I'll show you everything that's going on in a second. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. This video ads on most pages. They open up content, and when you watch them, you close them back up again, and it does help us to pay for our website, and thanks very much to everybody for having a look at those video ads. Just starting off with the central England temperature from Hadley. This is provisional up to Friday. They're getting very lax at Hadley at the moment in updating this, so it hasn't updated since Friday. At that point, we were standing at 5.1, an anomaly of 1.5 degrees above average. I say that's provisional up to the 17th. That would have gone up more than that. It could well be approaching 6 degrees by now after what's been a very mild weekend, and it's going to get an even bigger boost, I think, as we go through today, most certainly, because those temperatures really are shooting up. These are the latest observations from website xcweather.co.uk. You can find a link to xcweather on the links page. And, well, the highest temperatures are over in the east. Up in the northwest of Scotland, not particularly excited with the temperatures there, stored away at 9 degrees, and out Nahara, currently at 7 degrees. But we come further southwards and we find the temperatures lifting up. So at Birmingham, for example, we're up to 15 degrees. At Western Aerodrome, we're up to 14 degrees. Cranfield is up to 15 degrees as well. And the really high temperatures are over in the east. So Cambridge at the moment is 16, but it was up 17 there a couple of hours ago. We come further east into Watchisham in East Anglia. We're up to 17 degrees there. Norwich is at 16 degrees. Go further south in towards London Gatwick. They're standing at 16 degrees as well. London Heathrow is up to 18 degrees at 64 Fahrenheit, nearly 65 Fahrenheit. Luton Airport at 15 degrees. And so we go. London City Airport also at 8 degrees. So it's these sites in the far east and southeast for the seeing those temperatures into the upper teens Celsius, which is more like the kind of temperatures you expect in May than in February. So exceptionally warm temperatures down in the southeast today. Warm for the time of year particularly. But as I say, we may be seeing the first indications that winter isn't quite done with us just yet. So these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. We've got the ECMWS here on the top, and the GFS, which have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being drowned by a jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, orange, red, brighter colours extrapolates to high pressure. So what we see for the next week to 10 days, these are the mean flow charts for 7 to 10 days time, which takes us into the start of March. What we see is that we've got this trough pushing increasingly southwards through the Atlantic with the jet stream going to the south. By this point, we are on the cold side of the jet with the ECMWS, and notice this orange appearing up here over the top of the North Pole. That's indications of high pressure blocking going to the north. It's that blocking that's pushing the jet stream and the trough further southwards. And actually what happens is that this low pressure runs on into eastern central parts of Europe, and it starts to open the doors in the west of Europe to much colder northerly winds. The GFS is very similar as well. So again, we've got that trough extending through the UK and extending to the east of us. Signs of pressure building to the north around the North Pole, extending down towards Iceland and the northern part of the Atlantic. That's pushing the trough and the jet stream through on the cold side of the jet. Notice heights now rising in the southeast of Europe. Haven't seen that a great deal this winter. So the southeast Europe, where it has been very cold through most of the winter, under that ridge, it's starting to turn much warmer now. We'll be starting to bring the air up around the ridge from parts of North Africa down into the southeast of Europe. So this is one of the balancing acts that goes on with the weather when the southeast is cold. The southeast of Europe is cold, so Greece, Turkey, the Balkans. When those areas are cold, it tends to be warmer, milder in the northwest of Europe, Scandinavia, the UK, Ireland, often France as well. And it's the flip. When it's cold in the northwest of Europe, it tends to be warmer in the southeast. It's just one of the ways that the weather system, nature, balances itself out. So signs that it's warming up, and we're developing a ridge down in the southeast of Europe there for the start of March. At the same time, we're beginning to push a trough through into northwest Europe and beginning to pull down much colder air from both the north and from the northeast. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. And we can see that this cold weather for early March is by no means a done deal. So at the moment we are just here with the upper air temperatures, red line being the 30-year temperature average, of course. So very, very significantly milder than average at the moment. Those temperatures will be trending down through the second half of the week. We're going to get this little cold snap coming through around Thursday into Friday. It only lasts a few hours. Then over the weekend it's turning milder again. And then we get through to the start of March, which is this period just here, in the extended range of the GFS. It's cooling off, most certainly, through the first few days of March, but not desperately cold at that point. But you notice as we go through into the extended part of the ensemble that we do have a lot of scatter. So we've got several members, including the operational run of the GFS, which is going cold. There we are, several cold, well, I wouldn't call them outlier members because there's several of them that are all doing the same kind of thing. So they're not really outliers, they're just not that well represented within the overall ensemble suite. However, the trend of the ensemble is probably still to be a bit milder than average through the early part of March. But these cold outliers, and they're not really cold outliers, as I say, because there are several members that are doing the same thing. But so the colder members, they are appearing more and more now within the GFS ensembles through into this early part of March. So in fact I may update, I have to do an update this evening looking at the GFS ensembles individually, just so we can see how many of them are going for this cold weather in early March. But at the moment it's a bit split, 50-50 and maybe 60-40 in favour of staying mild through early March. But the colder members are increasing, including the operational runs of the GFS. Precipitation shows lots of dry weather coming up for the next few days, turning more unsettled later in the week and into weekend as well. Quite a lot of rainfall spikes coming through them. And then the early part of March also looks quite unsettled. But of course, there's so much uncertainty in terms of the temperature, what that's going to do for early March. There has to be uncertainty in terms of precipitation as well. These are temperature anomalies for the next week, so it's very significantly milder than average from the 20th of February through to the 28th, last day of the month. Notice, however, it is beginning to turn colder up across Scandinavia. Some cold and average temperature anomalies coming through there might just be the first signs of that change for early March to colder conditions. Rainfall looking quite significantly wetter than average, not just for the UK, but for many parts of Europe as well. Southern Europe is coming out drier than average, but many northern and central northwestern parts of Europe coming out wetter than average, which is a bit of a flip on what's happened through the winter so far. But it's tended to be very dry through central and northern Europe, and the wettest weather has tended to be through the south of Europe. So it does appear that the pattern is beginning to shift quite a lot on what we've seen through most of the winter of 2016-2017 as we're heading into the spring. So this was the midnight run of the GFS. I'll just talk you through this one first of all. It's updated to the 6 o'clock run. I've got that one for you as well. This is the midnight run starting on Friday when we're bringing down a cold and northwesterly wind. That could well bring some wintry showers into the north. And after the very warm temperatures of today. I think that will feel quite a shock, actually, as we get through to Thursday and Friday. It's not a particularly cold air mass, really, but because of how warm it is at the moment, that's going to be quite a shock to the system at the end of the week. It only lasts a few hours. By Saturday, we're reintroducing those southwesterly winds and quite a lot of wet weather as well. We go through to Sunday, where it looks unsettled, wet, windy. That continues into the start of next week. And then we go through to Tuesday, which is when we begin to see a change taking place. Notice heights are starting to rise through the Atlantic, a ridge is beginning to push through the Atlantic and going to the north, and that's starting to push these areas of low pressure and the trough to the south and to the east. So beginning to move the trough through and starting to pull colder winds down from the north. So by the time you get through to Wednesday, which is the 1st of March, we are pulling down a cold northerly wind then on the midnight run of the GFS. Much colder, probably with snow showers in the east and north and night frost as well. And then beyond that, look at this. The high pressure starts to ridge up to Scandinavia, very interestingly. And through the first week of March, yes, we start to open the door to those easterly winds. And look how blocked we are. By the time you get through to the 6th of March, we've got very extensive blocking then extending from Greenland through Iceland to Scandinavia. The winds are going around into the east. It's what we've been waiting for all winter. It's had several goes to get into this position through the winter, never been able to do it. The closest we got was at the end of January and the start of February, but even that was only very brief Scandinavian high before it was all collapsed down into Central Europe. This is the real deal, with ridging from Greenland to Scandinavia, a proper blocking feature and bitterly cold east winds. Bear in mind this is March, so it's not going to be as cold as it would have been if it happened in early or mid-January, but nevertheless it will still be enough, I would have thought, to be dragging in, if it came off anyway, snow showers to eastern parts. Now, it's a midnight run of the GFS. The latest run is the 6 o'clock run, where, again, we're doing the same sort of thing. So we get this cold push Thursday, Friday. Doesn't last more than a few hours. It's being cut off by Saturday as milder Atlantic winds return. Then we go into an unsettled weekend with showers, longer spells of rain, quite mild temperatures as well. Early next week, again, we start to raise pressure to the north. That begins to push these areas of low pressure to the south. The jet stream is starting to track to the south as well, beginning to move down colder air from the north on the northern side of those areas of low pressure. By Wednesday, the 1st of March, we're in a cold northerly wind, probably bringing wintry conditions to the north. Then, quite interestingly, next Thursday, 2nd of March, this looks like a little bit of a snow event because we've got low pressure moving up from the south, and it's engaging and battling with this cold air coming down from the north. So wherever it's on the northern edge, on the dividing line, there'd be a weather front, and there'd probably be some sort of snow event with that. The low pressure then is pushed out of the way by the time you go beyond day 10, which is beyond day 10, going to Friday the 3rd of March. That really does open the door then to cold northerly and east winds, bitterly cold easty wind pushing in there through into Saturday the 4th of March. That will be bringing snow showers to northern parts of the country as well, with again a proper Scandinavian high and blocking feature. What about the East NDF finally? So there's that little cold snap coming up at the end of the week, Thursday and Friday. Into the weekend, it turns very mild again, with bouts of heavy rain coming in off the Atlantic. Early next week, we've got that pressure starting to rise to the north. That's beginning to move this area of low pressure down to the south. Early part of next week still looks mild and wet, but as we go through to the middle of next week, yeah, we're beginning to open the door to those northerly winds by day 10, which is Thursday, the 2nd of March. We're in a cold pattern then, albeit the ridge is a lot more flimsy with the East NUF compared to what we see with the GFS. So it isn't into Scandinavia, it isn't a proper blocking feature. Where that will go from there, very difficult to say. But it does look like the Atlantic is quietening down quite a lot, so it may well be that this will form quite a ridge eventually. We could go on a day or two further than day 10 with the East NUF, but we can't, so it's all speculation about where that would go after that. But we've got both of these models trending colder through into the early part of March. The GFS clearly is more progressive with developing this cold weather. The East NUF does get cold through the middle of next week into the start of March, but it all looks a little bit more flimsier. So I think I have to wait and see. And the GFS ensembles are not sold on this yet. We saw within the GFS ensembles, it's about 60-40, I would have thought, between the runs that are staying mild at around 60% and the runs that are going colder through early March, it's about 40%. So they aren't sold on this idea of turning cold into March either, but it could be that the operational runs are leading the way. And as I say, we will have a look at the GFS ensemble members individually tonight to see what they are all showing. That should be quite interesting. So we've got the very mild weather at the moment, really quite warm, spring in winter, but we get through to spring itself and we may find winter coming back. I'll keep you updated through the week. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.